David Beckham named People Magazine's Sexiest Man Alive for 2015. We can ask Sam and maybe Marissa, our intern, how they feel about that. Coming up next.
That's interesting. I have a national chef. I have to look it up, but I believe he made the list of one of the sexiest men alive this year as well. So maybe we can get him on the phone. I think that would be a good idea. We could talk to him about that and maybe preparation for Thanksgiving meals as well.
All right. Well, our next guest could chime in as well about David Beckham, the soccer star, as the sexiest man alive. It's Shelly Callahan, the executive director of the Mohawk Valley Resource Center for Refugees. Welcome to the show, Shelly.
Thank you.
Do you have an opinion on soccer star David Beckham's sex appeal?
I concur. He's the sexiest man alive.
So you may...
Yeah, I thought so for years.
So you may have been one of the ones voting here.
Yeah.
All right, good.
Very good. You've been making news recently in the OD and, of course, in general, this refugee conundrum that we're facing. I know the headline in this morning's OD all about that particular issue this morning. Is it un-American to refuse Syrians in our country? That's the headline in the OD. What's your feeling there at the refugee center in Utica?
Well, I think that we need to be mindful of the fact that we've been doing refugee resettlement here at the center for over 30 years. And America does have a long history of being welcoming to immigrants and refugees. And so, yeah, I think there's a lot of confusion about who we do let in as refugees and the vetting process that they go for. So I think there's a lot of things sort of all mixed together. I think there's been a politicalization of, some of the issues that maybe shouldn't have been politicized. But yeah, I think we need to consider doing what America has always done, which is the morally upright thing, and welcome people, the most vulnerable people who need refuge.
The article in the paper the other day in which you were quoted about this issue also included a chart of the immigrants who have come into the Utica area in the Mohawk Valley. I found it interesting that Syrians not on the list at all in the top 10 there. It's Bosnians, it's Lebanese, it's Somalis. It would be interesting. Syrians not represented that much in this area.
Right. And they're, frankly, I don't see them being represented in this area this year. We've been designated... the president has said he wants to have 10,000 Syrian refugees enter the country this year, and Utica is not been listed as a primary resettlement site. So there are other sites at this point that have been designated more suited to Syrian resettlement. So I think at least for the current year, we'll continue to see the populations that we have typically seen come here as refugees.
I read that article. We are designated as what's called a Tier 2. How many tiers are there in that?
Three. Mm-hmm. There was three when I learned our designation.
Mm-hmm. And how do they determine the designations and which cities should be designated for which types of refugees?
I'm not really sure. I wrote an abstract and I sort of laid out, what the Utica community looks like. I suspect that there are other communities with larger, maybe more recent Syrian communities there, and so they would look to put the newly arrived Syrians in those places.
Mm-hmm. And speaking with Shelly Callahan, Executive Director of the Mohawk Valley Resource Center for Refugees. Shelly, challenges the center faces and our community face as well when helping some of these refugees resettle here.
They come here from all over the place, so speaking different languages and having different cultures and customs. So the challenges are just to make sure that they have access to all the services and opportunities here. And once we do that, and we actually do a really good job of that, we find that they tend to be really successful. So we do over 400 job placements a year. We help hundreds of people attain legal permanent residence or become citizens each year. So while there are challenges, this agency and the city of Utica has been really, really good and renowned for being able to meet those challenges and help people be successful.
And overall, the refugees in a whole, what are they seeking? What is their main goal? What are you hearing from them most often?
Well, a chance to live a life. Many of them have been, with regards to the Karen, they may have been stateless their entire lives. They have been born in a refugee camp and offered the protection of no government ever, and in fact, experienced things like genocide and other terrible things. So they just want the opportunity to live. They come here with all their hopes and dreams and aspirations. Most of them are extremely excited to join a democracy. They want to attain citizenship. They want to raise children, get jobs, contribute to the fabric of life here.
What percentage of the immigrants that come to your refugee center speak English perfectly versus a little bit, and what percentage want to and then go on to learn our language?
The number that speak English perfectly when they get here is quite low, very low. But there are some that come with strong English skills. At the center, we have about 10 or even a dozen classrooms that teach ESL full day, all day. So folks are very motivated to learn English, and they learn it as quickly as they can because they understand that that's a barrier to success here.
And Shelly, what would you say to those folks that say or claim that the refugee population is really attributing to the poverty level in our city?
I think that they're mistaken. I think if you look at economic development and the revitalization that is happening currently in Utica and that has happened in Utica over the past 30 years, when it has happened, a lot of it has been attributable to refugees and immigrants. They believed in Utica, certainly when a lot of people in Utica didn't believe in Utica. They've opened businesses, they've bought houses, this is their home, and they invest in it. So I think that assertion is mistaken.
And Shelly, another question, the portion or the region of our area that you see a lot of these refugees settling in?
East Utica, Cornhill, primarily right now, but I also see them buying homes, in all of Utica. So I think initially when they come here, they do resettlement where the community, their ethnic community is, but fairly shortly after that, I see them kind of, spreading out the way all of us do.
Talking to Shelly Callahan, the Center for Refugees here in Utica on the Talk of the Town at 100.7 FM WUTQ.
What we've been talking about here really is the borders and the idea of keeping our borders safe, the idea that a lot of the governors around the state are calling for their borders to be closed. We've touched on that in many different aspects. Commerce, maybe security as well. Do you see other outlining factors besides the idea of just maybe denying folks the opportunity to come into our country?
I think that people need to be educated about how people become refugees and the vetting process for them to travel to the United States. Because really, the United States handpicks the refugees who resettle here, and they go through multiple layers of security checks. So they are literally the most thoroughly vetted group of people who come to the United States. The security screenings are rigorous, and they involve the Department of Homeland Security, the FBI, the Department of Defense, and multiple intelligence agencies. So I think that the United States can continue to welcome refugees while continuing to ensure our own security.
Currently, the largest group of refugees you see in our area?
Is the Karen and the Burmese out of camps in Thailand.